3 different ways to gut your grouper and how it affects your collar meat. Method number 1, tip of the knife into the booty hole, and we're gonna slide right up until we get to the pelvic bone. We're gonna stop right there, and I'm gonna show you why later. You'll pull all the guts out, separating it from the front and the back, and to do that, you're gonna need to stick your knife in to separate from the front. Next up, we're gonna go into the booty hole again. This time, we're going to cut right in between that pelvic bone. When you cut straight through the middle, it makes opening it up and separating the connection the guts make right behind the gills and right at the bottom. This method makes getting the guts out a lot easier, but it is going to create more wear and tear on your knife cutting through that pelvic bone. It's not easy for everybody to cut through, and it will dull your knife quicker. And the third way we're going to show you how to gut your grouper, tip of the knife into the booty hole. We want the ease of a large opening to get the guts out easily, but we don't want the wear and tear on our knife cutting through that pelvic bone. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around it, and that creates less wear and tear on your knife, and you still have the same size opening as you did on the last method. Now you're probably wondering why I'm not pulling all of the guts out. YouTube doesn't like that, so I'm gonna pull them out real quick and show you how it affects the collar meat. You won't wanna miss this. In order to cut out the collars of these fish, I have to fillet these fish. All right, we're gonna rip through these real quick, get a nice grouper display going at the shop. Wipe those scales off. All right, now that we've got the fillets off, let's get the collars off and show you how each one looks different. We're gonna start with the last one I did, which was the cut that went around the pelvic bone. Removing the collars, we wanna expose those gills, cut into that membrane, flip it around, hit that levitating bone, flip it around, repeat the process, puncture the membrane, slide your knife right underneath that levitating bone. Now, your throat should just pop right out like so. And there you go. Before we get to that, we're gonna do the rest of them. All right, we're not throwing away this bad boy. We still got cheeks and soup to make with that. Next victim will be the second one I showed you, where we went straight down the middle of that pelvic bone. Look at that floating bone right there. Super easy to slide your knife right underneath it, twist it around. Puncture the membrane right underneath that lip, flip your knife around. These guys will release. And when you split it like that, these will come out in 2 separate pieces like so. Final grouper throat. This was the first one we gutted, where we just went to the pelvic fin and did not go through it, did not go around it, stopped right there. It was a little bit more work to get the guts out because you gotta fish your knife in there, whereas these two, it was nice and exposed. Let's take the collar meat out and see what it looks like. Puncture that membrane. Get right underneath that lip, twist them around, slide your knife right underneath that floating bone. Puncture underneath the gills. Just pinch it off, and there we go. All right, let's analyze these 3 different collars. First one we gutted. Second one we gutted. And third one we gutted. Let's trim it up just a little bit. When cooking these, something I like to do is flatten it out like that. You can even make a slight incision down the middle. Helps you get extra seasoning in there. Pros and cons. The gut, where we did not cut through the pelvic bone, we got to leave as a whole throat. This is why they also call them wings. And it makes a beautiful presentation. It's fun to grill and smoke them like this. The next one, where we cut straight through the bone, gave us 2 pieces. And you know, if you want 2 pieces anyway, this works great. Pro to this is that you had more access to the guts, made pulling them out easier. Pro to this cut is that if you wanted to leave it as a whole throat, you could. And obviously, it's not an option at all with this one. Let's go to the final one we gutted. Me, personally, I love both of these options. They work out great. I often like cooking split anyway, so this is often how I do it. The con to this one is that it could dull your knife a little bit. This one, no dull knife, 1 piece. This one, a little bit duller of a knife, 2 pieces, also easier to get all the guts out. This one, we didn't dull our knife because we went around the bone instead of cutting through the bone, and we left it as 1 whole piece. Kinda. But, and this is a big but, when you lay it down flat, you do not have 2 even pieces, and you're gonna have an uneven cook time. This side is gonna cook faster than this side, just solely based off the fact that it is larger piece with more bone inside of it. Also, I'm not splitting this with you unless I'm getting this piece. You didn't dull your knife, but the lopsided of the collar meat makes this my least favorite way to gut fish. This is how a lot of fishermen gut their fish because they have more access to the guts, they can get the guts out faster, and they're not dulling their knives. Commercial fishermen, I don't blame you. You got a ton of fish to go through. Recreational fishermen, I might recommend trying one of these 2 methods. You get prettier collar portions out of it. This one will dull your knife a little bit. This one won't. This one will take a couple extra seconds to get the guts out, but you got a recreational limit, so you've got the time. Option 1, option 2, option 3. Comment below your favorite. Have a killer day, you guys. Later.